Hi, this is Mahmud Asrar, a comic book artist based in Vienna, Austria. An artist on many comics for over 15, 20 years, probably from a lot of Marvel and DC work, and now currently working on my own creator-owned book called Bug Wars. And you're watching Splash Pages.
So the only thing left to say, of course, is the one obvious thing. Hey, stop it!
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. And I know I've been gone for a little bit, but I am back. And with us, we have Kari. How's it going?
It's going well, Leo. Welcome back. We've missed you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you back. Brad Tosker is taking this is an excuse to do some day drinking. So this is going to be an interesting day. I have to mention that last night I was sitting there and I had this song stuck in my head and I couldn't figure out what it was. And it was our intro song. And it took me like half an hour to figure that out because I was just like, what is that song from? Oh, yeah, our show. Okay. So that's how things are going for me. I'm super excited about our guest. But before we get there, let's go over and see how Drew's doing.
Mr. Drew.
Oh my God, are we on? Oh my God, I'm up. I'm fine. Hi, it's Saturday.
You're not dreaming, Drew.
No, I have pants on. It's definitely not a dream. Hi, it's Splash Pages Saturday. We're really excited to be here. Thrilled even. So thank you for joining us. We have an absolutely stellar guest, our second of our international guest series. Really pumped. I had the pleasure of meeting him at one or two New York Comic Cons in the past, and he is absolutely not only talented, but super duper nice guy. You've seen him on, as he said, a bunch of Marvel stuff. You've seen him on X-Men, Avengers, She-Hulk, Thunderbolts. You've seen him on Supergirl, image books like Savage Dragon, a bunch of other stuff. But right now,
Batman versus Robin?
What?
Batman versus Robin?
Yeah, okay, you know what, Leo? I said DC. Okay, calm down. You're interrupting my flow. Okay. Interruptions aside, he's also working on an absolutely stellar book that we had the privilege of reading a little bit about, and I cannot tell you Bug Wars is going to just be a bestseller, but why hear me rave about it when we can talk to him about it? Everybody from Vienna, one, the only Mahmud Asrar.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on board.
Woo!
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you. It's early for us and late for you, and either way around the world, hello.
Hi.
So, hey man. So Kari, I think you said you had a question or something about his early beginnings, which I believe was it was Dynamo 5, right?
Yeah. Okay, Leo, I didn't know if you had anything ready to be pulled up there. I put some stuff in the background, but I was watching through the different stuff, the art that you worked on and how it progressed and things. And Dynamo 5, by the way, you draw very nice women. You 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 gotten a chance to put together some absolutely gorgeous females, but yeah, I pulled the background up from here, but showing some of these things, your style evolves over time, I've noticed. But I like the smoothness that we have with the coloring that goes on this one, um, and the different body shapings. I'm like pointing, and nobody can see what I'm pointing at. But as he has his like morphing abilities, and you have a lot of different body shapes that you work with in this comic. But what it,
You got it, Kari.
I got it. Okay. So you change the shading. What I'm going for here is eventually you guys you'll see he uses a lot more hatching and cross hatching as things develop here. But how is it working with the different colorists and inkers and everything like that? With this you did a lot of different technique than you use later on. You're great at getting the details in on the buildings and everything, but at the same time you have a much smoother drawing style, I think, in this as you got
Right.
started? Is it something that you developed as you were going, or was it just because you were working with this particular colorist style?
I think it's a mix of two things. I mean, first is I think what I was inspired by and who I was inspired by when I was working on the series. Back then, I think my biggest influences at the time were Adam Hughes and probably Brian Hitch. So I would see some rendering style and choices of those guys influencing my art, and probably transferring that to paper in some sense. That's one thing. I also I try to be conscious of what type of book I'm doing, and that's why there's a feeling that I want to achieve in every book that I do. So sometimes I change my style accordingly. So like in Dynamo 5, I wanted to have this almost naturalistic, but also a comic booky feel, superhero-y feel. So that's why I went for extra details on muscles and stuff. But I also wanted to keep the details and the backgrounds and everything and shading. But a different series, for example, Supergirl, which I did later, I wanted to have a slightly more cartoony, more subtle, line-oriented artwork. So it's a conscious effort on what I want to do on a certain book and the theme of the book. So if I do a horror book, I don't want it to look too cartoony, although that might be a choice. But like it depends. Like using darker colors and like things like that would work better on something like that. So yeah, that's what I try to do with the work that I do.
Yeah, and
You're very adaptable.
Indeed,
I try to be.
But and then speaking of, since this is some of your early work, I mean, you had that interest from art and comics when you like us, when you were young. So what were your favorites growing up, and how did they inspire you?
Okay, going back to my childhood, I think I didn't realize comics were drawn by people, so that came, like most of us, I guess, that came on later. I would see, I mean, I used to read Turkish comic books translated and from American stuff, and sometimes they would remove the credits, so you wouldn't know who would draw these or if anyone did. So
Right.
at a later time, I noticed I actually put the names of the artists and even, mentioned, like this is the artist, this is the writer, and it would say penciler or whatever. So when I came to that realization, I tried to understand whose art I enjoyed more. And
Right.
over time, for example, the first artist that I noticed was John Buscema on Conan, and he became my first and biggest influence. So my earliest, I think, comic book work was highly inspired by his work. It still continues today.
Hmm.
And then over time, I got into other comics, and the bigger influences to me were probably Jim Lee, of course, in the 90s. A bit later, Adam Hughes, and going to more contemporary times, I would say some of the bigger influences on my work is probably Stuart Immonen and Olivier Coipel. But it's I don't want to limit it to just a few names, because like I get inspired by so many people and all the time by so many different things. Like Mike Mignola is such a big influence. Arthur Adams is a big influence. Kevin Nolan, I don't know, like a lot of people, from Jack Kirby to anyone, and even
Yeah.
outside of comics, I get inspired by like some classical painters, or
Hmm.
sometimes even statues or whatever. So all that, I think you have to be something like a sponge in a way. So you get all these, and then it shows itself on paper or whatever medium you use, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you talk about community, I mean, it's kind of that which helped start your career, because your work became the attention of, I believe, your collaborator on this, Time of Five, Jay Farber, and then
Right.
him, plus a recommendation by the great Invincible artist Ryan Otley. That's how you ended up, starting this and working on that, and then that led on to, I believe, Small Gods, which is around that time as
um,
well. So,
Actually did it a little bit before this. I had already started doing some small work here and there on independent stuff and
mhm.
self-publishing, and when I used to live in Turkey, I did a lot of self-publishing. Started out with fanzines,
Okay.
did some for some local books,
Hmm.
and I started doing some international work when I started doing pin-ups, sometimes covers, just like maybe a 4-pager here or there and stuff. So my first delve into the image world was with Small Gods. So I did this backup story on the series,
Hmm.
uh, just a few pages and a few issues. And
Right.
soon after, Jay Ferber noticed my work, and he asked Ryan, because they knew each other, and I knew Ryan as well through forums and stuff. And
Hmm.
he said, I guess, good stuff about me. So Jay reached
Right.
out, and then we started doing the book, and as they say, it's history from there on.
I was about to say the rest is history. Um, no, that's. I mean, I think it's so funny because we've talked to a few creators, and they'll bring up, like, that forums and chat rooms and such, which were such a big part of how they got started. And now it's like, you mentioned that, like, what was that like? I was like, it was something. It was. It was the way we did it back then. Now things are different. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I love the forums. It was a, it was the only way we could find each other, I guess. Like there wasn't social.
Yeah.
This was before social media. Like maybe
Right.
Facebook was just kicking off and everything. But like we found like-minded people from all over the world, and it was an eye-opening experience, especially living in different parts of the world, and like not having the community where you are, and then having to getting to talk to all these people all over the world, from Europe, from the
Mhm.
South America, from the North America, and everywhere. And like getting to collaborate, share thoughts, and criticizing each other's work, and getting to work together and doing collaborations and everything. It was great.
Absolutely. And and then, like I said, you've worked on such variety of material. You've worked on superheroes, you've worked on horror, you've worked on, Marvel, DC, Image, and whatnot. You've done horror, you've done comedy, you've done action and whatnot. Do you have any preferences? Are like one script that, like, you're reading, like, for example, like you did She-Hulk Cosmic Collision with Peter David,
Right.
who is one of the greats, and he's is extremely well known for his sense of humor. So, you're reading that, and like, when you're getting these scripts, how much are you like, let's say if it's a funny thing, like how much are you chuckling as you're reading like, oh, She-Hulk is getting pinched by Jacinda to make sure that they're not dreaming, that they're
Right.
caught in the collector's stuff, you know? And then you're like, oh, okay, I can see that. You know, it's like you're getting the insider deets before we are. So what's that like? You're there. You're bringing it to life. What's that? How's that for you?
Well, back then it was a lot of stress actually, because I was just starting out. Peter David was probably my favorite writer back then because I loved his run on the Hulk and everything. So, and this might be my breakout work on Marvel. The first stuff that I was doing for them, and getting to work with them. I was so stressed out, like I couldn't even probably laugh at the jokes. I would probably think about how I would convey them and make people laugh by seeing that or whatever. So that was my main concern. I was just like business driven and not in this sense that I wanted to do right by the script and do a good job with it rather than like get enjoyment out of it myself.
Right. Yeah, I know, because like it's like, thank you, Leo. It's right there. Like I was just reading it and I'm just dying because the expressions you just like Kari said, like you just have this way of conveying the expressions. It's just so organic and natural. And again, we've talked to artists that like just sometimes it's such a challenge, not just describing it, but it's just like you're like from a writer standpoint, you have to describe the scene to the best of your ability, and then the rest is the artist. It's about conveying that emotion, but how one person conveys the emotion may be different how someone else does. So it's just 1,000 factors that can go wrong, and usually a script is not just, oh, it's just one person or two. So like you said, a lot of stress, which again, artists like yourself just make it look easy when I'm like, it is not. That's the trick of the trades, I guess.
Yeah, everything is like a challenge, especially starting out. You don't know the answer. If you think about it as if it was math or something, you don't know how to solve the problem. So you have to find figure out a way how to do it and solve the puzzle in a way. So over time you learn, and then all of these get added to your library of visual things in your mind and how to solve problems in certain situations. So it's a great experience. Starting out it was a lot more stress doing everything, like on this page doing the background, trying to think of how a room would look, what kind of furniture would be in there and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's much easier. I don't think about that so much, but rather I would think about how best I would draw something, and get more enjoyment out of it, how different I could make, how interesting I could make it for the reader and everything. So like the worry and stress is still there, but there are new challenges every time you work on something new.
Nice. Now another kind of switch gears to a different thing. So you dabbled a little bit into Star Wars. So you did the Jedi the Dark Side, which was a series taking place in the prequel era. So this is before episode 1. So you're telling a story about Qui-Gon Jinn in the early years when the Republic is still good. And kind of. You're telling an early story and whatnot. Coming into that, were you a Star Wars fan, or did you have to do a bunch of research? And oh boy,
I was just going to ask Drew, have you been looking at his background?
Well,
Mahad, we lost your camera, by the way.
Yeah, it's just a circle. I mean, it's a lovely circle. No, you're doing good. It's a lovely circle.
Still hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. It's just
okay, I'll try to fix this.
Great, you're doing good. I mean, yep.
And y'all watching, this is where if you can look close up at it, this is where I was talking about the hatching and cross hatching. He does so much of it here in this Star Wars Jedi the Dark Side. And the way the colors are with like the sand and the natural background colors make it pop so much in the way the shading works. It's awesome.
Well,
I don't know if you
Carrie,
can zoom in on that or not, Leo, but
You do know that Star Wars fans remain very divided about sand. You know, so some of them love it.
Everywhere.
They're very divided about sand, Carrie.
well,
I'm trying to
just-
fix the camera, guys. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Do you want to pop out and pop back in?
Yeah, if you leave, you can leave, and then you can just come back in, and then sometimes that resets it.
Okay, I'll try to do that, and then
Yeah,
we'll see.
we'll
how it
wait.
works.
Yeah, no worries. We'll be here. Don't worry.
yeah, you can. This is what had me all fascinated. I was just like, ooh, all the scratchies, all the hatchies. And
We'll also talk about, the variety. I mean, you want to talk about like complex. I mean, I was saying in this to Carrie beforehand. I mean, like, talk about like a challenge. Star Wars. It's not just humans. There's characters of all races, ethnicities, planets, and stuff. So that's a you're just expanding the world even more to the potential of what you could draw. And then on top of it, focusing it within a very vocal and loyal fan base. Like it can be a lot, but he did a great job.
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, how much direction he was given, because obviously, this is legend, so it's no longer canon. But back then there had to be
Well, yeah.
somebody behind the scenes saying, "Oh, you can't have that because that wasn't discussed," or
Well-
we can pull from this because that was from book, whichever.
Well, yeah, and Dark Horse. I mean, at that time, Dark Horse was, uh, yep, we can see you, buddy.
Whew.
I'm back.
You're all
I don't
good.
know what-
So, but yeah, so we were just talking about Star Wars. So as Leo pointed out,
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, are you a fan?" And Leo's like, "Did you see behind him? Did you not see the display
Right.
case? Like it's a lot of nerd cred right there." I'm like, "Okay, it's fine."
There you go.
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
Are those hot
Probably
toys?
out of focus, but yeah. There's a bunch of hot toys. Yeah, I collect a lot of Star Wars from the original trilogy, and I don't know if I move up, maybe it will focus. Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, we can see it. It
Oh,
is. That is some prettiness. Look at those.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of those, and yeah, I'm a fan of Star Wars, so I enjoyed working on that series. It was great, but it's also challenging because again, it was towards the beginning of my career, so like Star Wars was my probably first experience in working on a license project, which is
Mhm.
which has its own challenges. Like you get a lot of approval issues. Like so, since Lucasfilm is involved, you
Right.
have to be careful of what you use, what you do, how you do things and stuff, and so
Mhm.
there's double approval. So after the editors, it goes to them, and then so it's and also of course the pressure of the fans, because the fans can be like a bit I
Particular.
don't know, they care about the details and stuff. So like I was like worried about that stuff going in, but I enjoyed it a lot working on it. It was a good challenge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like I said, you're filling in blanks in Star Wars history, and like you said, you're a fan, so this is double the fun. Like it's one thing to be playing with lightsabers, but you're now drawing people actually using them, and and then now we're adults, so the toy industry being it is, you can own a lightsaber, so it's pretty fucking cool.
Also, the legend stories, even though they're not canon, they're starting to pull a lot from the legends and into the actual canon universe.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love you, Yoda.
Oh, yes.
He's fun. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was seeing a thing where Mark Hamill was talking about how they were just driving Frank Oz nuts on Empire because like 3 months they're recording the scenes, right? And everybody is just talking like him, like, "Go to lunch, you will." Like, give me a ride. And Frank was just like, this is fucking ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm dying because I'm just thinking like now people are like, no, Yoda it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger of Star Wars impressions. It's just like so easy it is to do. Is that not right, Leo? Is that kind of the like Arnold Christopher Walken, kind of like the same thing with Palpatine? Is the good. Let your artwork flow through you, Miss Asrar. Yes, draw more of the dark side.
The funny thing is, since I moved to Austria, like German being spoken here, it has the way of sentences being formed in the way how Yoda speaks. So, so you have to think in that way sometimes. Like the things move to get around and stuff. So you have to think of it that way. So that was a good tip from a friend of mine.
Oh boy, that is pretty fucking funny. But yeah, so I don't know, Leo. It was nice to see you show some of your Star Wars cred, buddy.
Oh, I much appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But and then I will say this on another note. Like I said, I'm a big fan of your work on the Ultimate line. I know you did an arc or two of the Ultimate X-Men when it was the Ultimate Comics with Brian Wood when they're on Reservation X, and I thought again, it was great. Me and Kari are big Ultimate Universe fans, so like nice. But for me, one of the things I thoroughly enjoyed about you coming back to it was when you did a story arc of All New X-Men with Brian Michael Bendis, and it was kind of your, hey, we get to go back to the Ultimate Universe, like, hey, kind of like I reread it, and I was like, I can only imagine it must have been like you going back to summer camp and just being like, hey, the same guy, like, what have you been doing all this time? How you doing? Oh, shit are still awful in this universe? Great. But and then and you even got to work on some of them. You got to work on you worked, correct me if I'm wrong on this. You worked a bit out with Miles when you were doing some of the arcs of all new different Avengers with Mark Waid, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So you're working Miles, and I will say I was a big fan of your splash pages, no pun intended. Thank you, Leo. I see that smile there. Can you pull up one of the ones that I sent you? Like that, man, is just the battle at Castle Doom. I mean, like, and again, I know Bendis' scripts are known for being very wordy and descriptive, but like how do you, like, first and first, that is not a 1 day page, right? That got to be like a week. How do you fit all that in there? Like, geez,
I don't know. I used to be a much faster artist back then. I used to produce more quicker, and it didn't feel like this. I mean, the challenge here was the composition, and so that was the main thing I wanted to do. Like I wanted to show everything, and again, it's like a math problem. You have some things that you have to use, and you have to show stuff, and then you have to figure out a way to show that the best way you can. You don't want a map. A map is boring. You see every detail. You have all the information and everything. So you could do that, but what you want to do is like make it interesting, make it enjoyable. So like putting a giant figure on the left side of the art was a big it also saved me a lot of time because I actually just had to draw one figure on one page basically, but it also made the thing in a more interesting as a way of like showing direction. She's facing this way, then you could see everything converging towards Doctor Doom, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, and so like I tried to think of motion and how to lead the eye and everything. So this is what's important over here. So I don't know if you have on your files over here, but the page before this, if you have that one as well, that was I did a nice thing over there. I mean, at least something that I got a satisfaction out of. on the previous page we see these X characters, they're jumping down, and they're like joining this battle. But the way I composed it is literally the opposite of how they are positioned in this page. So it's I feel it's a nice segue into the double spread after that. So in that version and that other panel, we see X-23 way in the back. She's like small, but over here she's on the biggest on the page. So it was a nice play of like imagery in my in my way, I guess.
Yeah, we'll find it. Drew, are you sending that, or do you want me to try to find it?
I'm looking. God, let me work, man.
It's just like,
okay,
it was fun though.
I was not expecting him to make a request. I was just like, oh hey, look at this cool thing that I found. How hey, give me a minute. Okay?
Well, while you bring that up,
Leo, stop talking. It just makes it crawl back up. But listen, are you talking about the in the image? Mahmud, are you talking about the in issue 34? Are you talking about what happens before, like near the end of that issue, right?
No, I just meant this battle sequence. Just the page before this. The page before this. It says, like they're jumping into battle, and then we see them fighting the Doombots.
Yeah. Okay,
it's just like the sequence was fun,
Oh yeah, totally.
I guess
all right,
my camera's gone again. I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, you're doing good. I'll find it by the time you get the camera back, man. I got you. Gosh darn it, where are you? You pesky little troglodyte. Wow.
Which
I like the amount of.
Oh, go for it, Kari.
Oh, I was just saying I like the way that this works spatially too. Besides having everybody spread out just right, you can see the depth, and like the distance between everyone. And that he was able to fit all of those people in there and be recognizable.
Yeah, I mean, keeping up the quality of each character, it's just not like a little smudge in the background. Drew, do you want me to try to find it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is that there was no image before
what
one.
What issue was it?
It's issue All New X-Men issue 35, but that's the thing. The cover starts, they have the info page, and then that's the first page of the battle. And then they have the panel afterwards. You see them in the battle doing the thing, Spidey next to X-23, more of the battle, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's what I was asking, like, if he was talking about the issue before, I noticed that there is a little bit more. So,
Gotcha.
So, oh, wait a second. I think, I think I know what he was talking about. I think I got it.
Okay.
I think I got it.
Got it.
I think
I
found. And he's back. Shit.
Well, while you pull it up, Mahab,
wanted to be ready, Leo.
Just a heads up. I think I may know what's happening with your camera. I had something similar with another DSLR. It could be overheating. And if that's the case, they make like a, I think it's like $5 or $10, like a little fan that you can actually attach to the camera. So you might want to give that a try.
All right.
If you're going to be using this more often, just helping you out.
We have a good keyboard monkey.
Yep.
He knows what he's talking about. He's good like that.
Yeah. Kari, did you have any questions?
No, he was gone, but I was saying I really appreciated the way that you have the distance involved as well. So you can, with the close layout of X-23 and then all the way back, and that you made all of the characters, and so many of them, just so recognizable. That had to be exceptionally difficult. I mean, I don't know what size you were working with, but I'm like, okay, for me to get something that I could make somebody recognizable, I'd be working on a canvas that's like the size of my wall.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it just works out. You have to consider everything that you have on the page, and you have to, spare enough space for everything that you want to do. So that's what involves this composition, making decisions, I guess. Like you have to consider how big and small what you have to do and stuff. And I like to, as you said, like I like to play with big and small figures, to keep it more interesting. If everything was big and equal, it would be boring. Like if it were all small in the distance, and then it might not be interesting, or you can't tell what's going on and stuff. So the variation is key. And whenever somebody, an aspiring artist, asks me what they want to do, and like how they can improve their work, I always try to give them similar advice to this. Like just place the camera somewhere else. Like always consider the foreground and the background, and like have levels in your art. Like the way how objects are relating to each other. You have to keep that in mind always. Otherwise, as I said, it will be like a map. It will be like a diagram, and that would be boring.
Well,
And you have that classic Spidey pose going on right there too. Is that something when you're doing a lot of Spider-Man, you have to like, I mean, he's just got so many specific things that his body contorts into. Is it something that you try to stay the same with those, like, they're not all exactly the same, but the similar kind of style that he seems to find himself contorted into?
Yeah, I mean, over here, I think this was the first time I ever actually got to draw Spider-Man professionally. So either Peter or Miles, so I wanted to do a bit more something a bit more generic on this one, to be seen instantly recognizable and stuff. And also, there's like certain characters behave and move in certain ways. Like if you gave this pose to Wolverine, it wouldn't look the same, and it wouldn't feel the same, I would say. So like Spider-Man is a bit like a bit like an insect, a bit creepy, in his motions. Although he's a superhero, he's a like he crawls up walls. He should look a bit slightly creepy and stuff. You have to keep that in mind. A bit wiry. You have to apply that into the art. And like the human body can move a lot and make different motions, but still it is limited. So after a certain point, you end up with similar poses and stuff like that. So I don't fault anybody for like if they find something, if a pose looks a bit too similar to some other things, because it's all very limited.
And then on top of it, you also had the chance, like again, you're kind of revisiting previous work, because like I said, you're doing the all new X-Men, which were the original, who were stranded in the past. Well, correction, stranded in the future after being plucked from the past, and then they're in the Ultimate Universe because of a mishap with a new mutant power, and they're seeing all these things that are unfamiliar to them, and then they're seeing that current version of the X-Men, the Ultimate X-Men, which you had worked on, like I said, with Brian Wood. And Leo, by the way, I sent the other image to you. Yep. But it's fine. But Leo, if you can show the other one I sent you, I call it the Miles collage.
Well, hold on, I'm pulling up the where did it go?
Yeah. Because I also loved in this series, you had these. Oh yeah, you're getting props from another artist. There's digging your stuff. Thank you, thank you, Coran.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. But you had in these moments, you had these great moments, and it's usually, I think it was when one of the Jean Greys, because multiverse too, would connect with someone's mind, and you had this hodgepodge collection of beautiful moments. So but even this, look at the you have all these characters in one panel. I mean, that's new X-Men with the Ultimate X-Men. I mean, god damn, that is beautiful. And you got
this was a crowded book, yeah, for sure. And yeah, this is the panel that I was speaking about. As you see, we see the guys jumping down, so it's like a different angle. We're looking upwards compared to the other one when we're seeing the ground and everything. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show them coming towards us, and we see over here a storm in the middle, and the big lightning is coming down, and then we see all figures. Spider-Man is in the front, and they're all floating down. And way back in the is X-23. And in the other composition, the double page spread, it's just the opposite. We see Laura as the biggest figure in the page,
Right.
and then we see the lightning. Like I wanted to make the images flow back. We are here, and then we move the camera, and we see what happens next. Like just a moment later, we see the lightning hit. Like a lot of the Doombots or whatever, or they were getting electrocuted, and we're all in the action and everything. So I'm fond of these two pages, I would say.
Absolutely. And then, Leo, can you show the other image that I had sent you? I mean, as an Ultimate Spider-Man fan, like, this was fantastic because, again, like, these are all moments within Miles at that time life, and it was just so great. In just one page, you just have this collection of him, and so I can only imagine how much fun that was just to draw these highlights of Miles's career, who, as an Ultimate character, was fairly new still,
Right. Yeah. This idea actually, this one started in All New X-Men with Brian Bendis and Stuart Immonen, and in a previous issue where I think Jean Grey had a similar double page spread where she was thinking about the back. She was connected to all the stuff in her life and whatever. And so Brian wanted to continue the idea, and so he asked me to do one with Spider-Man, like Miles Morales. And so this is what I came up with. And I think later in the series, I did one more with
Jean Grey.
No, that came later on in X-Men Red. We did one in X-Men Red. But over here we did one with, I forgot her name. As I said, my memory is not the best. But we had a similar page in All New X-Men with a different character with like a circular panel layout and everything. And later on with X-Men Red, we wanted to make a throwback to this with Jean Grey, with Tom Taylor and so that was a fun one.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely great, especially because, again, it's, pun intended, it's a web, and you and Stuart, who again is no stranger to the Ultimate Universe. You guys just nailed it. It was just fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and I actually, hold on, I just saw this here. Leo, I'm going to send this to you right now. Yeah. Helps having this stuff on your computer already, kids. You never know.
While we wait for that, I was just going to ask. You mentioned when we were going over the X-Men, the new X-Men, that earlier in your career you were faster. Was that a change in how you were producing the work? Like, were you paper and pencil back starting out and moved to digital, or what do you account for that?
Well, I mean, that's actually a good subject to bring up, I would say. I think there were different elements. For example, first of all, of course, I was younger, so like I had a bit less responsibilities and everything, and I wasn't a father back then, so I had more time on my hands, and this resulted in me working a lot and quicker, and the deadlines were tighter, and because people knew that I could draw fast, they would give me tighter deadlines and I had to work with those and stuff. So this actually led to some problems, which going back to Star Wars, when I was doing Star Wars, I also was doing Supergirl with DC. So like for a certain amount of time, I actually literally was drawing 2 books at a time. And no, was it the Ultimate X-Men? So yeah, 2 books actually cross over each other in my schedule. So I was doing 2 books at a time, and which was really exhausting. And so I literally ended up having some health issues because of this. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take it slower, and then I slowed down a little bit. And later over time, I guess it became natural that I was taking more time with the work that I do, taking more care of what I put into the panels, and adding more detail and everything. It was just a certain type of evolution of how I worked, I guess. So it was both conscious and like also a necessity, I would say.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We'll
Leo,
try the camera again.
yeah. Leo, I sent the thing to you, by the way.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
cool.
like you said, the cool thing with that is that that's two separate Jean Greys. You got the mainstream, the original Jean Grey was from the past, and then you have the ultimate, and it's just, my God, like again, the hodgepodging, just fantastic. It both as a fan of, I was reading Ultimate X-Men since the beginning, and then I've read all new X-Men until the end. So just what a wonderful mashing of worlds. And again, you did such a great job with just paying tribute and in your own way. I mean, what just like that would just be, I just imagine that would be the coolest poster for a fan, just having that sucker up on the wall. What do you think,
Thank
Kari?
I like it. I like the Spidey one a bit better. I gotta admit. It just it pop better with, because this includes a little bit of the green, and I like just having the red and the black with that kind of slightly blue tint in the black and white part. So
Yeah, listen, to each his or her own, man. But I mean, again, did you have any favorite moments kind of coming back to this? That because there was so much in this story arc. You had like Jean Grey meeting Spider-Man. You had Bobby versus the Mole Man. You had Laura meeting Jimmy Hudson. You had Hank having dinner with this Doctor Doom, and then the big battle at the end. I was like, dude, this is a big story, but it was just so big, but it was still filled with so many great moments.
I don't know. I think I enjoyed it a lot in everything. Like Brian was very flexible, and the way he wrote was catering to what I wanted to do. I would say, he was very generous in that regard. So I had a great time. So I sincerely can't pick out something specific, but like all these bigger moments, of course, they were very special. I would say these splash pages and the battle with the Doctor Doom and the Doombots and everything, and even the smaller moments, like when the Iceman moment where Jean and Iceman talk about his like sexual stuff, and so yeah, everything. It was an enjoyable experience and a challenge in certain ways, so the slower moments or the action-packed moments, or all the meeting of these characters. And really it was I don't know if it was specifically on purpose or it was already planned, but like having Brian bring in all the ultimate characters into this series was great for me, like having to play with these characters that I was already familiar with, and people were already familiar with me working on them before. So getting to do that all together again was a total blast. I had a great time.
Also, I'm sorry to say this, but your camera went out again, so I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. Since we were talking, I didn't leave for a moment. I will try that again right now.
No worries.
It might be overheating, as you said. It might be a problem. Yeah.
No worry, but no problem. It's just we were going to ask about Bug Wars, so we figured we want to see you to see the joy.
Right. So, okay. I'll leave now. I'll be back in a minute.
No worries. Take your time, man. Leo, I think that was my last image, so you're good.
Okay, you sure now?
I'm positive.
The Galactus. He's moved, but there was a Galactus in the Miles one as well. That was in that circle. I like how it's kind of showing similar.
Yeah. But because Kari, there was that cataclysm. Remember, that's when Galactus. That was during Age of Ultron. Yeah, it was a
shared experiences with
weird story. I was just like, okay. But thank you, Leo. We got it.
We did see that.
And to the left. Back and to the left. I'm like, well, now we got it.
Cue Bug Wars.
The bugs. Yes, we can see you again. So we've read issue 1 already. We had your collaborator Jason Aaron on last year, and I mean we got to read the Ashcan and the regular one, and it was just fantastic, man. Like Game of Thrones meets Honey I Shrunk the Kids, or Star Wars with little Star Wars thrown in there. God, this is going to be great. Like, all of us loved it. We all became bug experts just reading this.
I'm very happy to hear it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So how is that? What was it like working on this with Jason, who's so great?
Well, I mean, Jason is probably my favorite collaborator in terms of a writer. So we've worked a little bit before on a Thor Generations book, which was our first time working together. And we talked about working together again. And then so we ended up doing Conan with Marvel, Conan the Barbarian, which was probably one of the biggest projects for me personally that I ever did in my career. And we had a blast doing that, and then later we did King Conan together, and again it was great. He's great to work with, and over time we got even a better relationship in terms of working together and understanding what we want to do together and stuff, so, and what to expect from each other. So when all that stuff was done, and I was nearing my end of contract with Marvel, I was thinking of doing something creator owned. So I reached out to Jason, and like I said, hey, you ever want to do something together? Let me know and stuff. So he came up with this. He said, I have this story about bug wars. About this kid, like growing small in his backyard, and there is the civilization of the small barbarian people living there. Like in there, fighting each other and stuff like that. It's like, as you said, Honey I Shrunk the Kids meets Game of Thrones. And I said, okay, I like this. It's something that I could handle and enjoy quite a bit. So I really like the idea. So we started working on it, and we've been working on it for years at this point, because it's been almost 2 years, I guess. From the initial talks to building the whole world of this thing, and over time, and we're almost near the release of the first issue, which is February 12th.
Yep.
And we're almost done with the whole first story arc, which is like 6 issues. I've already completed 5. We're working on 6 right now, so there won't be any delays. We'll be we'll be sure. Yeah.
But is it just the one series, or are you guys planning like a multi-arc kind of story?
It's the first story is 6 issues, so it will be starting there and ending there. But we have more plans for the future stories and arcs, which we're already thinking about and working on. It's a very extended universe, I would say. There's going to be futures adventures and a lot of big things we're planning for this series. And it's so enjoyable, because I occasionally think of something and I immediately write Jason, look, we could do this, and there's this pond over at the at the backyard, and maybe we could have that over there and stuff. And then he says, I love that, we'll work that into the story or whatever, and things like that. So we're really very, very excited. And Jason is this is a project very personal to him, because it's based on how he grew up back in Alabama. And I had similar experiences, and although very different life, living back in Turkey. And but this is the funny thing, even though we have all different experiences and world views and whatever, we can have similar experiences and come together in certain things. So this is what happened in this story, I would feel. So it's very personal for me as much as it is for him. There's a lot of me and my son inside in the story, and so we're having a blast. Also, it's like crazy. So we get to do a lot of crazy stuff. Like, as you can see, there's heads being chopped off. Naked people running around. A lot of insects and crazy violence and stuff we couldn't do in the mainstream comics. So it's been a great time. Yeah, it's one of the best things I've ever worked on, and it's one of the best works that I've ever done, I feel. So
Mhm.
I really hope people will respond to it, and the initial response has been great. Everybody's been saying great stuff, from creators to other fans who had the chance to read anything. Like you guys, very kind of you to say all the nice words. So we're really happy and looking forward to release.
Oh no, I mean, I read the Carrie. I'm trying to remember which one's the one that was sent with black and white. Is that the Ashcan or is that the regular version? I
That's
just
the full
remember
version.
the full version, and I read it in black and white. And some of the stuff you did in black and white was just fucking terrifying. Like I was like,
Yeah.
good God. Like, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can only imagine this with color. Like, it's gonna be terrifying. And then I saw color. And I was like, I was right. It's terrifyingly great. And I've just been raving to people. I was like, you will end up both a warrior and an amateur bug expert by the time you're done with this book. And they're like, wow. I'm like, and I was like, swear to God, like it's true story. And I can only imagine how probably so much. See, look at this. This is terrifying. Like just this absolute old, because that's why like seeing it in black and white made me think of like all those old like horror movies in the 50s, like they or no, not they, them, where you got this cheesy big ass insects, run around eating people and cheat, but it was just terrifyingly good. And I can only imagine now you know so much more about beetles and bugs than you ever thought you would. Like, I bet
Oh,
you're
for
the
sure.
yeah, I bet you're like, no, that's a Galapagos dung beetle there. No, that's no. Yeah, like you're like, how do I know this? And I'm like, oh, right, because I'm having fun. So yeah, just absolutely, man. This is I cannot wait to read issue 2 and now more. And then if you guys that the sales are good, which as we know, this is always what leads to things. But I mean, I think I've been seeing rave reviews about it already, and I was like, good, more bugs,
Yeah.
like more bugs, more war. Let's go.
We're expecting people to be to enjoy this, because I think it shows how we are into this, and I think when you do that, it really gets a response, so we're hopeful. And as you said, I'm not like an entomologist right now, like a
Right.
bug expert at the moment, but I did a lot of research, a lot of books over here, right there, a lot of bug stuff,
Oh,
which
man.
I constantly have to look at. Here,
He's
I
got the
even have bookmarks and
bookmarks.
everything. So
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Nah.
So yeah, a lot of stuff that I looked at are in this kind of stuff.
Right.
These are the actual prizes, by the way. So like I can compare them, and
Right.
so yeah, so we try to
Mhm.
be accurate to science and everything. And it's funny because I normally I couldn't stand bugs and insects. my
Did
view
I
my
was
view on them has changed over the past couple of years, I guess.
Yeah. Same.
I
Carry
was
go.
gonna say, did any of them creep you out? Were you just like, oh God, I have to draw that?
Oh,
Oh,
for sure. Yeah. I mean, constantly. I mean, they still do. Uh, it's such a wild world, and these creatures, they have such wild lives and what they do and stuff like that. Like the bombardier beetle, it can like shoot acid from its butt that could melt you. So like like I mean, if you see it in real life, it probably won't do much to you because it's tiny compared to you. But when you're down to bug size, and when you and it's spitting acid on you, like it's the worst thing that could happen. So we're looking into all of that kind of stuff, and it's all that craziness, like involved in the story. So it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and a lot of learning experience too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, props to you, man, because like my general rule with bugs is I was like, listen, we're cool as long as you do not invade my zone. You invade the zone, life is forfeit. But for me, it's like, and again, like, we saw in one of the images, I saw the corner of my eye, I saw that spider, and I was like, okay, it can't hurt you. It's just drawn really well. Please, for the love of God, don't give me a close up because I will freak out. Um, but like I said, props to you because I can only imagine how challenging that must be, especially like you said, you're not a fan. You're like, I love this project with Jason. I love this project with Jason. And I was like, I'm gonna take a break and hug my family and take a shower. You know,
It is tough. But I mean, the tough part is like it takes. Aside from all the creepiness, you get used to that. You know, like you learn all about that stuff. So like, it's also part of the point of the book. You know, like it's crazy and it's also violent, and you know, like as you can see, heads being chopped in the middle. You know,
yeah.
like guts all around, and you know, so that's part of the story. So the thing is like. It's a challenging book as it takes a lot of time to do, you know. So
Mhm.
imagine like to draw like an army of ants, you know, like close up. So like it's not like you drawing like black spots or something. It's just you have to draw them accurately, and a creature with 6 legs, you know, antenna and everything. Like you draw one, it's already work, and then you have to do like 100 more in the back.
Right.
So it takes a lot of time, you know. So
I I just
it's
imagine
enjoyable.
I just imagine you like sending a message to Brian Hitch, be like, I understand now what you had to do in Ultimates with Hank
for,
Pym. Like, God, like
for sure.
props. And he's just like, yep, nope, there are a lot of ants there. And you're like, yeah, really try drawing them with a Conan on top of one of them. Okay, that's tough. Um, but um,
So this comes out on February 12th, and what's the publisher again?
it's
Image Comics.
Image.
Okay. So we want to urge everybody, definitely go to your LCS and make sure this is on your pull list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, it's not just the greatest artwork either, which is amazing. It's Jason Aaron, guys, and we all
Yeah.
know where his brain will go, and it is so freaking dark, even in just this first issue. It's glorious.
There's a little something for everybody there. You know, even if you don't like bugs, there's a character in the book that hates bugs. You will sympathize with him. Okay, look at that lawnmower. He knows what he's doing.
We have to say though, like, sorry, I don't want to cut you
No,
off,
you're
but
good.
the thing, I mean, this is a story about, you know, like crazy bug wars, and you know, like all these clans and barbarians and all that stuff. But in the heart of it, it's still also very much very a story that revolves around the family and the family relationship with the main character,
Mhm.
slave maker, and his family, his brother, his
Right.
mother, and there's a lot of, you know, like personal moments and things relating to these characters, which are also very uh, comes from our hearts as well, you know, in terms of drawing and writing about these characters. So there's this is
Cool.
what the story is really about, I would say, you know. So and everything else is revolving around this, and you know, like we built
Mhm.
everything
All
around
right,
them,
Leo.
you know.
Leo,
So
don't spoil too much, man. We want them to buy the book. Close it. You know, we showed them enough, man. We got it. We hooked them, and now they got to go to the store and do the rest. Okay. But yeah, no, it's again, it looks absolutely fantastic, and to know that you guys have planned more, you know, it's like hearing it's like hearing a show is going to get greenlit for season 2 before the first episode's out. That is just
yeah, it's not a one and done. We're planning for the future already, you know. So
oh yeah,
expect more.
absolutely. Oh no, don't worry. We'll have the exterminator on speed dial. But I guess one of my last questions would be, I mean, you've worked in industry for a decade or two now, so you know you've worked with a lot of greats and whatnot, and you've been to also quite a few conventions. Was there anybody at the convention that you had your fanboy moment, that you stood in line even though and you met with them? It's like, I love your work. Could you sign this? Like, have you had any moments like that at conventions?
Oh yeah, for sure, a ton. I mean, after I became a pro and attending shows as a pro, you know, I got used to it. I got to accept the idea that I'm one of these guys. So like
Right.
we're peers in a way, you know. Like even though like I've adored their work for decades, or you know, and or even newer artists that came up after me, I could still
Mhm.
adore their work, you know, like, and you know, I'm a big fan and stuff. But I don't get to fanboy and you know, like get that way too often.
Right.
But I have the story from years ago. Like in 2002, the first time I went to a convention, I went to San Diego to show around my portfolio and stuff. So I met a few artists back then, including Adam Hughes, trying to get sketches and everything. So that was my fanboy moment. Everything was new, and everything was a first for me. So like I was probably very awkward and very, like I was always a very introverted person as well. So like I was very shy, and it was really big struggle for me to speak to these people. So I had these embarrassing moments. And once, I met Bill Sienkiewicz and over there, and I went up to him and I said, I was such a big fan. I lost control about gushing. So I'm saying all the stuff, like I took out the big guns. I'm saying like, you're like a god to me and whatever. Yeah, and so probably he felt a bit, like. Yeah.
No. I've met Bill, and Bill is very humble about it. I'm sure he's like, that's really great. It's really nice to meet you too. And yeah, he's really great about that kind of thing. So yeah, and it's funny. I've had 2 opportunities trying to meet Adam Hughes, and every time it's either his line is just too long and my ADD is like, nope, or he's just, doing a panel, or he's putting touches on some gorgeous artwork that I'll never own. And I'm just like, one day we will meet and it will be awesome. Well, I'm good. Leo, Kari, do you have anything else?
Well, I was going to ask, do you have any conventions coming up?
Some tentative ones, but a couple for sure ones. I will be at Lake Como Comic Art Festival again in May. So that's in Italy, and I will do that. And I do New York Comic Con every year, so that's my North American show, at least the one that I do every year. So if you are in the US or anywhere near, that's the best place you can see me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will be at local shows, Vienna Comics and Vienna Comic Con, I would suppose. And the other stuff is a bit tentative, but I'll probably do a couple more European shows this year. I've pulled back a bit on doing conventions. I have a bit less time to do conventions these days.
Sure.
But yeah, I try to show my face and let not people forget me and stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you have a chance to add one more to your roster, we go to one every year called Terrificon. That is in Connecticut, and it's more comic-based Comic-Cons. As you know, a lot of Comic-Cons are becoming more like, hey, Star Trek shows and Star Wars and whatnot. Media personalities. Where Terrificons, they have some media personalities, but it's more focused on the comic writers and artists, and definitely a awesome con to check into.
Absolutely. Mitch Halleck is superb, and it's really fantastic. We've met so many great artists like yourself, creators, and everyone's been wonderful. But again, we know that's quite a trek. So if anything, I usually go to New York. So if I find your table there, I'll be like, hey, I know that guy. And I can see his face without it occasionally blinking out. So hey. But
yeah,
no,
I've been hearing you like robots for a little bit, but I caught most of that. But sorry if I missed anything.
Okay, don't worry. But and then Kari, did you have any other questions for our guest?
No, pardon me, my throat's kind of got a frog in it, so I'm trying not to.
Breathe it.
Yeah. I'm trying not to overdo it. I just, most of my stuff was just about all the different style choices and things that you made, and I just love them. You're just so great at adapting to each story. It feels like it's different artists at times, but because there are some artists who, no matter what you have them draw, you're like, oh, that's that guy, because it's always like the same kind of thing. But you are just like moving all around with what you do, so I love it. And that was
thank you.
That was
Thanks so much.
And Leo, can I steal one of your usual end of the interview questions?
Go for it.
So when you're not creating awesome art and just whatnot, What do you do in your spare time? You know, do you hike? Do you draw other things? Like what do you do in your spare time? Who are you outside of comics?
Well, okay. Aside from trying to spend time with my family as best as I can, what I try to do is I'm a big gamer. I play a lot of computer games and stuff. Well, other than that, I try to. The past couple of years, I've been trying to take care of my health, so I do a lot of walking and running, and
Mhm.
small stuff. Like trying to take a bit more care of myself as I'm aging a little bit more. And photography has been a new hobby of mine. Actually, a returned hobby, I would say. I did that really early on when I was back in university,
Mhm.
but I got back into it and I got a renewed interest in all that stuff. And it's really enjoyable. I try to take my camera everywhere,
Right.
just for fun, nothing special. I find it very satisfying outside. It's still related to art and making images and
Mhm.
creating stuff in some way, but not the way usually that I do. So life right now.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. Good luck with all that. Um,
Man, thank
yeah. See, look, see.
there you go. Now you're gonna embarrass me.
There you go. Look at
Not
that.
yet.
The good camera angles there. Good lighting. Um, no, that's awesome. And everybody's got to have a thing that they do outside of the thing that they do. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And I think we're coming up on time. So I guess the last question I have before we let you go is, what's the best way for anybody to reach you social media wise? And when's like you said, if you don't mind repeating, what's your next upcoming event?
Okay. Yeah, I will have to do this just by voice, I suppose.
Yeah, no
uh,
worries, no worries.
okay, so people can reach me on most social media platforms. I'm through my name. I'm at Mahmud Asrar. Mostly I post stuff on Instagram, and I'm on Blue Sky, and
Yep,
of
that's
course
your.
Facebook and Twitter as well. Still for now. Where else? I guess you will find me on those most of the time. Yeah, other than that, I'm working on Bug Wars and upcoming events. The next one lined up is, as far as I know, it's the Lake Como in May. So I think I will. That's my next for sure event.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us. We really did appreciate it, man. This was great. And you're welcome back anytime. And please, if you have any other projects that you're working on outside of Bug Wars, let us know. We'll be more than glad to promote them. And yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time for us tonight. Thank you.
Really appreciate having me on board, and it's been great talking to you guys. It's been a blast, and really very grateful for your kind words about the Bug Wars and everything. Really hope you enjoy it going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the end, like I said, so when you leave, just click the leave studio. Wait for stay on the uploads page, and
Okay.
then just when it shows 100%, you can close it, and then you're good to go. And if
All right.
and if
I already did
anything,
that a couple times, I guess.
yeah,
And
and
I was leaving,
anything
so I'll
comes
do
up,
the same. Yeah.
yeah, if anything comes up, Leo can just send me a link that I could just forward to you. So no worries. Okay.
Awesome. Sorry about the technical issues.
Oh,
This is the first
No
time I
worries.
use
No
the camera.
worries.
I'll try to
no
get
worries,
around
man.
next time.
All right. Well, thanks again, man. You have a good rest of the night. Okay.
You guys too. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
I love your consistency, Leo, because after every interview, that's exactly what he says without fail. It's just pause. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You know
thank you so
why?
much.
Because we have awesome interviews. That's why.
I just figure he just likes to pump our egos so we continue to maintain our consistency because it can only imagine he's like, that was fine. I'm like, fine? Not awesome?
Everything is
Well, that
awesome.
was mediocre.
Yeah, exactly. That was booty. What does that mean? It's not good.
Guys, call him back. We're gonna do it again. Take two.
Take the judgment. All right, Kari. I know normally we would just end it here, but I believe you have a little special something for one of our upcoming guests that you wanted to promote, bring up, right?
Yes. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. We've been doing the crowdfunding thing, but there is one going on right now that is only lasting for 7 days and ends on Tuesday. So I've got to get you guys all the deets right now, so you can go out there and
I,
get your hands on it.
I'm sorry, Kari. I just love how you did that. You're like, yeah, I got to get you on it. Like, you're just infomercial selling it right now. Like, this is a sweet deal that you cannot pass up. So come right in, Wintermorn.
Okay, so Wintermorn, you know how we're doing like the Cullen segments anymore? It's Cullen Watch. Next part. Okay, so Wintermorn is an RPG zine from Cullen Bunn and Jeremy Moller, and it's on Kickstarter, so you can go straight there. Just look up Wintermorn, and basically, with the Mother of Spring dead, the world has fallen into an endless winter. You can fund this up through Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Central. This is out by Outland Games, and basically, if you're familiar with Outland, they put out role-playing games that they also add a bunch of different settings and stories and stuff with. So Wintermorn presents an exciting new world of fantasy, horror, and adventure as one of Outland Entertainment's worlds. It will be fully supported by role-playing supplements, short stories, anthologies, and longer works of fiction. The first Wintermorn role-playing supplement presents gamers with a rich world to explore. Players will delight as they uncover the mysteries of this realm of blood, ice, and horror. Game masters will discover a wealth of non-player characters, horrors, magical items, artifacts, deities, legends, and lore, all beautifully illustrated, that can be the basis of a new fantasy adventure or inspiration for surprises to be added into an existing role-playing campaign. Now, this is a limited print edition of, this is the art print that comes with it. Of the setting, created by Cullen Bunn and Jeremy Muller. They're offering both digital and print zines, and you can fit it in any world you're doing it. Now, with this print that they have right here, there are only 100 copies. They're numbered and autographed. And the zine itself is going to be black and white with a colored cover, and you saw the interior pages there, a couple of them. And real simple here, guys. These are the rewards tiers. There's the digital PDF for $5. There's the zine, and that's here, the zine PDF. You get for $15 the print and PDF version of it. And then this is the Make 100 art print. For $30, you get the zine PDF, the zine print, and a signed and numbered art print. So, I mean, pretty straightforward and not very expensive at all. You get some signed artwork if you want it, and you'll be ready to go when they come out with all of the rest of the stuff that's going to be going along with this.
And so, you can't lose.
No, and on top of it, you're supporting Cullen, who's going to be joining us this month on one of our show dates. So, doing our part to put more money in his pocket.
And all the things that he's got going on.
Absolutely.
Go to his Discord, guys. You can check it.
Totally. All right. So I guess, Leo, there's really nothing more to do but wrap it up. So do you want me to just briefly mention our next guest and then we call that a day?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed our time with Mahmud Asrar. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to our YouTube page, On the Road to 1,000, hashtag, you know it. And next week, aka Tuesday, February 4th, we saw him at Terrific Con and we said, hey, do you want to come on again? And he was like, sure. So we have the great Gene Hawk coming on. We're going to discuss some of his work that he's done past and then some stuff he's got upcoming in the pipeline. Super exciting. But that's not the only guest we have this month. There's some really other great names coming up. And with that, some great guest hosts that will be joining us. So if you have no idea what we're talking about, you might want to stick around and find out.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching today. And, if you missed today's episode, just hit the rewind button, be kind, rewind. Sorry. And, one thing I want to say also, I want to thank Drew, Kari, and, the special guests that we've had recently for covering for me. If you don't know, my mother passed away recently, so it's been a really, rough time. But I totally appreciate you. Thank you so much for keeping the ship afloat. It's greatly appreciated. And with that, I'll pass it over to Kari.
Oh, we do anything for you, Leo. We love you, man. We'll cover for you. We're glad to have you back, though. Guys, if you want to find me, look up Kari Sanders on Facebook, and all of my links are there. If you see a crow, like a judgmental crow face staring at you, that would be me. I write things. I have other shows. I'm on the Owl Light Network as well. We have Uncle Necro's Tomb of the Terrible on Monday nights. We're going to do Teen Lust this week. It was something that he selected on his list before he unfortunately passed away in December. We're spending the entire year doing movies that he had selected for us for the show. So, and I think we have something going on tomorrow, but I do not know what it is yet. So I guess I'll find out as soon as you do. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. And I'm so happy we have a Leo back.
Ooh. Mr. Drew.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Wow, my eyebrows definitely keep moving involuntarily. Yep, it's just still the afternoon, and I'm still exhausted because I'm tired of your shit. No, but seriously, I love all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you need to reach me, my name on Facebook, Ghostbusterman1984. On Instagram, I've also been really present on Blue Sky, promoting all the great things we do. Thank you for all the content to do so, Leo. Appreciate you, buddy. And like I was not kidding, everybody. I'm exhausted, but that's only because we're working so hard to make sure that there are some great things coming up this year. So really stay tuned because it's going to be great. But until then, naps are wonderful.
Awesome. Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.